The spire of the Galactic Council Hall loomed like a dagger thrust into the clouds of Zenthra Prime. The structure shimmered under the system's twin suns, its polished obsidian exterior reflecting distorted stars and distorted ideals. Leon Voss stepped from the landing ramp of the Vigilant Resolve, his boots clicking against the glass steel causeway. Behind him, the air shimmered with heat and unspoken threat. The escort, a trio of insect guards, buzzed in perfect synchronization, silent and watching. He adjusted his collar. The black suit was sharp, tailored, and nondescript, hiding a dozen silent countermeasures within its seams. His face was calm, unreadable. His eyes, pale steel blue, scanned the rows of delegates lining the approach to the council chamber. No one smiled. That was fine. He wasn't here for smiles. The Archangel were first in line, reptilian, tall, robed in layers of living cloth. Their leader, High Arbiter Zaltar Vren, watched with the stillness of a predator. Behind him, other species muttered, whispers and clicks, hisses, and vibrations. A newcomer in the council was always a disturbance. A human newcomer? That was blasphemy. Leon didn't flinch. He walked forward, every step measured. The chamber doors parted with a resonant thrum, revealing a vast, tiered dome of marble and plasma glass. 1,000 holograms floated above each counselor's seat, language converters, voting symbols, live feeds. In the center, a raised platform, the accused stand. Leon stepped into the ring. Zaltar's voice slid through the air like oil. Council members, we open this emergency session under Clause 17 Gamma. The representative of Earth is to answer charges of unauthorized genetic weapon research. We demand explanation. Leon raised a brow. You could have sent a message. Laughter, dry and nervous, rippled from a few corners. Most remained silent. The evidence is clear. Zaltar continued, gesturing toward a flickering hologram. A Terran research vessel was intercepted near the Zoric border. Data cores indicated bioaugmentation experiments far beyond the limits set by the Concordat of Life. Leon studied the projection. The files were authentic, but altered. Subtle, but clear to trained eyes. That vessel was performing deep space medical trials. The data you display has been spliced. I'll submit the unedited chain of custody. Zaltar leaned forward. You lie well, human. I was trained to be convincing. Leon replied, voice even. He looked around. Counselors, Earth joined your alliance in good faith. We've abided by every statute. If your fear of us outweighs your reason, then say it plainly. But don't cloak cowardice in accusations. That stirred them. Whispers surged again. Some nodded. Others glared. Zaltar bared needle-like teeth. Then let us test your sincerity. Without warning, Leon felt pressure behind his eyes, sharp, invasive. A wave of psychic force crashed into him, foreign and probing, seeking weak points in his mind. He staggered slightly, one foot shifting back, but then held. His voice was flat. Telepathic assault during an open session. That violates Article 12. Zaltar's tone dripped with contempt. Your kind has no articles. You are animals dressed in silk. Leon blinked once. The psychic force intensified, scraping memories, emotions, probing for guilt, trauma, anything that could be turned. It found only stone. Then the pressure stopped. The chamber was silent. Leon exhaled slowly. Are you finished? Zaltar's eyes narrowed. His fingers curled into talons. Guards. A dozen soldiers stepped forward from the edges of the hall, armor gleaming, rifles raised. The chamber dimmed as energy fields snapped into place around the platform. Leon Voss of Earth, Zaltar declared. You are under arrest for violation of Council protocol and deception before this body. Leon didn't move. I advise against this, he said calmly. You have no authority here. The Arbiter spat. Leon's right hand shifted slightly. A subdermal signal pulsed from his palm. Far above Zenthra Prime, Earth's orbital command received a coded message. Protocol Perseus, initiated. Condition, diplomatic immunity breached. Response authorized. Back in the chamber, one of the guards stepped forward. On your knees. Leon looked up at him. That's going to be a problem. The next second was a blur. Leon moved. Fast. Too fast. His right arm swept the rifle aside while his left struck the guard's throat, not to kill, but to silence. The soldier dropped. The others raised weapons, too late. Leon ducked, disarmed a second with a twist of the wrist, and activated a small field burst from his suit. Non-lethal, electromagnetic, it scrambled their neural interfaces, knocking half of them out cold. The rest backed off, unsure. Leon stood in the center of the ring, breathing slow, eyes fixed on Zaltar. I came in peace. I still prefer that outcome. But if you escalate, I won't be alone. Barbarian, Zaltar snarled. No, Leon replied. I'm the leash holding the monster back. Gasps echoed across the chamber. He turned, walked toward the edge of the platform. A shimmering force field tried to resist him, but his suit adapted, repelling the field just enough to let him pass through. One by one, counselors moved aside as he strode past. Behind him, chaos bloomed. And above, in the cold of space, the vigilant resolve powered up its primary comms array. Earth was watching. And now, the council knew it. The council hall's alarms didn't wail like sirens. They sang, pure, crystalline tones that crawled into the bones and made every alien in the dome feel like prey. Leon Voss kept walking anyway. Behind him, the chamber erupted into layered panic, translators shouting over each other, seats flashing emergency glyphs, guards snapping into formation with the stiff certainty of people who never needed to improvise. In front of him, the grand aisle stretched toward the exit like a corridor of judgment. Delegates leaned back as he approached, as if distance could protect them from what they'd just witnessed. A new voice boomed through the hall, older, metallic, amplified. Lockdown. Subject, Terran Diplomat. Lethal authorization pending. Leon's mouth twitched. Pending. Even their wrath needed paperwork. He touched his cuff, thumb pressing a pressure point hidden under the stitching. The suit warmed against his skin as systems woke beneath the fabric, silent, hungry, precise. He didn't sprint. Running invited mistakes. A squad of fresh guards poured in from a side arch, 8 of them, rifles angled toward his chest. Their armor was polished ceremonial alloy, beautiful and impractical. They moved like they'd been trained for parades. Stop! Their leader barked, translator lagging half a beat behind his throat clicks. Hands visible! Leon raised both hands to shoulder height, open palms. He kept his pace. You don't want this, Leon said. The guard leader signaled. 2 soldiers advanced to grab him. Leon's left hand snapped out. Not a punch, an adjustment. His fingers found a seam in the armor near the collarbone and pressed. The soldier stiffened, weapon dropping as his limbs went slack. Leon caught him and eased him down as if placing a drunk man on a couch. The second grabbed Leon's wrist. Leon rotated his forearm, slipped the grip, and tapped the guard's helmet at the base of the skull. A tiny pulse discharged from his ring, barely a flicker. The guard crumpled unconscious before he hit the floor. The remaining 6 hesitated. That pause was everything. Leon stepped forward and spoke softly, almost conversational. I'm not your enemy. But you're standing between me and the truth. One rifle fired anyway. The shot was a lance of blue plasma. Leon's suit flared, a thin shimmer spreading across his torso. The blast dispersed into harmless light, like a wave breaking against a cliff. Leon didn't even blink. Someone in the squad cursed in a language the translator refused to render. Leon moved again, clean, efficient. He swept a rifle aside, stepped inside the next guard's reach, and struck a nerve cluster behind the jaw. The guard dropped. Leon hooked another's weapon strap, yanked hard, and used the momentum to slam the soldier into his partner. Both collapsed in a clatter of armor. In 3 breaths, the hallway was a mess of stunned bodies and confused survivors. The leader raised his rifle with shaking hands. What are you? Leon met his eyes. A negotiator. Then Leon flicked his wrist. A small disc rolled across the floor, stopped between the leader's boots, and emitted a sharp, directional pulse. The guard's visor went white. He stumbled blind. Leon passed him without finishing the job. Behind Leon, the council hall's great doors began to close. Massive slabs of stone and energy seals slid into place, locking down the chamber and everyone inside it. Zaltar Vren's voice cracked through the public address system, slick with triumph. "Hear this, counselors! The human reveals his true nature. A predator in formal attire. It must be put down before it infects the galaxy." Leon didn't answer out loud. He didn't need to. He touched the inside of his collar and spoke into the suit's bone conduction mic. "Resolve, this is Voss." The reply came instantly, calm as a heartbeat. "Receiving, sir. Protocol Persis is live. Do not decloak. Do not posture. Hold orbit and record everything. I need full uplink of council internal maps and security routing." A second voice cut in, female, crisp, Earthside. "Voss, this is General Imani. You were attacked?" Leon turned into a side corridor as another group of guards thundered down the main aisle. "Telepathic assault. Illegal detention order. Attempted lethal force." "Understood," Imani said. No anger in her tone, only a switch being flipped. "Fleet is already moving." "Quietly." "Good." Leon vaulted a low railing into an access passage that wasn't on the public map. "Keep it quiet. I'm still trying to give them an exit ramp." "I'm listening," Imani replied. "But Leon, don't die in there." Leon almost smiled. "That would be inconvenient paperwork." The access passage narrowed into a service tunnel, lit by pulsing strips of bioluminescent green. The air smelled like sterilizer and faint ozone. He jogged now, not rushed, just faster than bureaucracy could follow. His suit projected a faint overlay inside his vision, a wireframe of the structure, routes highlighted in thin lines. Council architecture wasn't designed for warfare. It was designed for control. That meant choke points. That meant blind zones. That meant secrets. A junction ahead split into three. Leon didn't hesitate. Left down, then a hard right into a maintenance shaft. He keyed a panel with his palm and listened as the security system tried to query his identity. He fed it a lie. The panel opened. As he climbed, a memory snapped into place. Mars, red dust grinding into his boots, instructors with dead eyes, the taste of recycled air. "Diplomats die first," they told him. "So you learn how not to." Leon shook the flashback away. Nostalgia wasted energy. He emerged into a narrow crawlspace above a corridor. Below, two council aides hurried past, speaking in urgent whispers. Their voices weren't meant for Leon's ears. "He's still alive," one said, voice trembling. "The arbiter said the psychic lance would break him." "It should have," the other hissed. "Unless the rumors are true." "Which rumors?" "That Terrans build their leaders like weapons." Leon's gaze sharpened. Rumors meant there were leaks. Leaks meant plots. He followed them in silence, moving above the ceiling panels like a shadow. The corridor opened into a communications hub, rows of crystalline terminals, humming with transmitted votes and propaganda feeds. A red hologram floated over the central console. Lockdown broadcast. Human threat containment. The aides stopped near a terminal and lowered their voices even more. "Zaltar isn't trying to arrest him," the first aide said. "He's trying to provoke Earth." The second nodded quickly. "If the Terrans respond with force, council law allows sanctions. Blockades. Seizure. The Archangel will call it a containment campaign." Leon felt something cold settle behind his ribs. Not fear, not rage. Clarity. "So the charges were fabricated," the first aide whispered. "All of it." Leon let the words sink in like a blade finding its sheath. He dropped soundlessly from the ceiling into the hub behind them. Both aides spun, startled, hands raised. Leon spoke before they could scream. "Who else is involved?" One stammered. "We can't." Leon's suit emitted a soft click. The room's doors sealed. Not locked, sealed. The aides froze at the sound. Leon stepped closer, voice low. Listen carefully. I don't want casualties. I want the truth. If you help me, you walk out alive and employed. If you don't, Zaltar uses you as disposable witnesses after he's done. The second aide swallowed. You can't win. He controls the council's security. He controls the record. Leon leaned toward the terminal, fingers hovering. Then I'll take the record. Leon Vaz stepped into level 9 with silent intent. The air was colder here, cleaner too. Sterile. The arbiter's private wing didn't carry the ceremonial trappings of the rest of the council chambers. Gone were the banners, the ornamental species carvings, the holographic memorials to peace and progress. Here, the walls were black stone and metal veins, lined with scanners and silent watchers embedded in the ceiling. No guards. That was telling. His suit fed him a schematic, partial data, corrupted in parts. The corridor ahead forked 3 times, once into a dead end, once into a decoy office, and once into the sanctum itself. A locked door, biometric keyed, and shielded. Leon didn't slow. He reached the main threshold. His fingers brushed the embedded panel. A green pulse scanned his face, his heat signature, his DNA. It blinked red. Unauthorized. Leon exhaled. Of course. From his forearm, a thin blade slid free, not for cutting flesh, but for slicing fiber. He opened the panel casing in seconds, bypassed the thermal sensor, redirected the identity gate. Inside the mechanism, a deep hum resonated as systems checked the override. Leon fed it a code, one extracted from the terminal back in the communications hub. The door unlocked with a click. No hiss, no fanfare. He stepped through. The arbiter's sanctum was shaped like a cathedral, a long oval chamber lit by ambient starlight pouring through a high slit in the ceiling. Along the walls, hexagonal displays pulsed softly, each showing layers of council intelligence, troop movements, surveillance nodes, black site reports. At the far end stood Zaltar Vren. He was facing away, hands clasped behind his back, robes draped like armor. In the silence, his voice carried easily. I told them you'd come. Leon didn't reach for a weapon. Then you should have prepared better. Zaltar turned slowly. His pupils were slitted, gleaming. No surprise on his face. Just calculation. I underestimated your people's appetite for theater, Zaltar said. No, Leon replied. You underestimated our patience. They stared at each other across 20 paces of polished obsidian. Zaltar moved first, one step forward, smooth and deliberate. You infiltrate our council. You twist our rules. Now you crawl into the heart of our sanctum and speak of patience? His tone sharpened, every word tipped with disgust. Your species is a contagion of vengeance wrapped in irony. And yours is a tyranny cloaked in order, Leon said. You wanted a reason to sanction Earth. So you fabricated evidence, tried to provoke a reaction, and when that failed, you attacked a diplomat. Because words don't work on beasts, Zaltar snapped. Leon's expression didn't change. You still think this is about war? It's not. This is about choice. Earth could have sent a warlord. We sent me. Zaltar's eyes narrowed. You're still a weapon? No, Leon replied. I'm the one holding it back. A tense silence followed. Then Zaltar gestured, and from the floor rose a small pedestal, on it, a black orb, pulsing faintly with energy. Leon recognized it immediately, a psi lattice, tuned for focused mental projection. Illegal. Dangerous. You walked into your own grave, Zaltar said, stepping behind the device. No witnesses. No cameras. I erase you, then tell the council you attacked me. It will be your word against ashes. Leon stepped forward. Try it. The orb lit up. A beam of pulsing psychic force launched at him, a direct neural spike meant to fracture memory, identity, soul. It hit Leon full on. And failed. He staggered slightly, jaw tight, breath sharp. But his eyes, clear and focused, never left Zaltar's. The arbiter stared in disbelief. How? Leon stepped closer. Neural dampeners. Layered conditioning. Earth trained its diplomats for your kind before we ever built a fleet. He reached into his jacket, pulled a small vial of silver nanite solution, and flicked it at the orb. It sizzled. The psychic pulse died. Zaltar snarled and charged. The clash wasn't graceful. It was brutal. Zaltar moved like a serpent, claws sharp, limbs longer than they looked. Leon ducked the first swipe, countered with a sharp elbow to the ribs, then a knee to the thigh. The arbiter hissed, twisted, and slammed Leon into a console. Sparks flew. Leon struck back with a flat-palm blow to the throat, dropped low, swept Zaltar's legs. They hit the ground together. Zaltar's claws slashed, catching Leon's cheek. Blood bloomed, warm and real. Leon didn't flinch. He struck with precision, blunt force, pressure points. Pain wasn't the goal. Incapacitation was. In under 20 seconds, it was over. Zaltar lay coughing, disarmed, pinned. Leon rose slowly, breathing hard, chest heaving. He pulled a data spike from his belt and slammed it into the central terminal. The displays flickered. The room dimmed. Then the truth poured out. Dozens of encrypted logs decrypted and streamed into the Council's master channel. Video feeds of falsified evidence creation. Audio of Zaltar's orders to frame Earth. Proof of psychic attack authorization. Clear, damning, irreversible. Across the Council dome, lights flickered. Delegates froze mid-debate as the stream took over every feed. Leon leaned over Zaltar, voice low. You thought you could shape the future by cornering the past. But you forgot what happens when you corner something that's still alive. He tapped the terminal once more. They're watching. Zaltar hissed weakly. You'll burn with me. Leon stared down at him. Then I'll make sure it's worth the fire. He turned and walked out, one step at a time, blood dripping from his jaw, suit torn at the shoulder, eyes sharp as a scalpel. No guard stopped him. No doors closed. Outside, in orbit, Earth's fleet decloaked, massive, silent ships hanging over Zenta Prime like the promise of judgment. But their weapons stayed cold. Inside the Council dome, silence reigned. Until the vote began. The Council chamber stood in stunned silence. The last of the broadcast ended with Leon's voice echoing across every corner of the dome. You wanted proof. Now you have it. The choice is yours. Then the screen went dark. Delegates sat motionless. A few glanced toward the upper balconies where security usually watched, but none moved. None spoke. The veil of centuries-old formality had ripped clean through the middle, exposing the rot beneath it. Leon Voss re-entered the chamber through the main aisle. His suit was torn at the shoulder, singed along the left sleeve. A thin line of blood ran from his temple to his jaw, dried and dark. But he walked straight. No limp. No fear. Every step announced something colder than anger, sharper than threat. Control. The floor shimmered beneath him as the central platform lit up once more. He ascended without a word. The speaker of protocol, a neutral crustacean species named Thalmec, finally stirred. His mandibles clicked together once before the translator kicked in. Council recognizes the representative of Earth, for final statement before emergency vote. Leon looked out over the 1,000-seated assembly. The weight of so many eyes, so many agendas, might have crushed a lesser diplomat. He welcomed it. I didn't come here to make a scene, Leon began, voice steady. Earth didn't send me to intimidate, or to threaten, or to demand. We came to sit at the table you promised was open. He paused. The silence gave him space. But some of you decided we weren't civilized enough. Too violent. Too unstable. You feared what we might do if given a voice. So you silenced us preemptively. You framed us. You attacked us. His eyes found several delegates who had backed Zaltar. None met his gaze. But you made one mistake. Another pause. You thought patience meant weakness. He stepped forward. You thought restraint meant we didn't have teeth. Now the chamber listened. You looked at humanity and saw our wars, our brutality, our history soaked in blood, and you assumed that was all we were. But what you missed was the choice. The restraint. The decision to walk away from what we could still become. Leon glanced upward. The orbiting Earth fleet now showed as a live image above the dome, a dozen ships large enough to eclipse cities. Do you think that was our best? He asked quietly. Do you think we couldn't have ended this differently? The question hung there. But we didn't. Because this isn't about dominance. It's about belonging. We built those ships not to conquer, but to make sure we were never conquered again. He turned in place, addressing the full circle of delegates. We're not asking for your approval. We're offering our hand. Because the truth is, your peace was never peace at all, it was obedience maintained through fear. You feared what would happen if someone stood up. Well, now we have. Leon stepped back. No bow. No dramatic finish. Just words. Clean. Final. Thalmec raised a segmented limb. The vote will commence. A soft chime rang out as holographic interfaces unfolded in front of each delegate. Green for admission. Red for denial. Yellow for abstention. The dome dimmed. Then the votes lit up, one by one. The first came from the Virelians, energy-based lifeforms who had once watched a supernova collapse for art. Their vote glowed green. The second, the Krith Dominion, ancient rivals of the Archangel. Green. Several mid-tier species followed suit. Then came a wave of reds. Predictable. Zaltar's allies. A few yellows followed, fence-sitters, hedging their futures. It came down to one. The Alari. A crystalline species who spoke through harmonic resonance, slow to trust, even slower to act. They held the swing vote. All eyes turned to their representative, Yelona, a being of light encased in a shell of transparent diamond. Her tone resonated through the chamber, pure and haunting. We feared what humanity might bring. Fire. Chaos. War. She paused. But now, I fear what might have been lost had we pushed them away. Her vote glowed green. Final tally. Admission, 524. Denial, 473. Abstentions, 37. Green won. The chamber erupted, not into cheers, but into movement. Conversations exploded in a dozen dialects. Some shouted in protest. Others rushed to shake hands. And still others, the wise ones, simply watched Leon in silence. Thalmec raised his limbs again. Motion passed. Earth is granted full council membership with all rights, privileges, and obligations therein. The council seal shifted overhead. A new emblem appeared beside it, Earth's. Blue and green, simple and direct. Leon Voss exhaled through his nose, slow and steady. A young delegate approached him, barely old enough to be out of training, skin still carrying the shimmer of her species' youth phase. Representative Voss, she asked, eyes wide. Is it true you were alone the whole time? No backup? Leon looked at her, half smiling. I'm the diplomatic option, he said. Be glad they didn't send anyone else. As she blinked, unsure if it was a joke, he turned and walked away. Back to the landing corridor. Past the rows of stunned guards. Past statues built by species who thought power was a monument, not a choice. His comms buzzed. Leon, General Imani said, voice clear. Confirmation received. We're standing down. Hold orbit another hour, Leon replied. Just in case. And you? She asked. Leon paused at the edge of the platform. I'm heading home. Above Zenta Prime, the Earth fleet adjusted its stance, no longer looming. Just waiting. Watching. As Leon boarded the Vigilant Resolve, he looked once over his shoulder at the council spire. You wanted to see what humanity looked like when it wore a suit, he muttered. Then he stepped inside, and the doors closed.